I call to order this regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris this Wednesday, December 18th, 2024. The time is now 7:06. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required by law. Specifically, notice of this meeting was emailed to the Daily Record and Morris Newsbee on January 4th, 2024, and posted on the Township of Morris website. The agenda and resolutions for the meeting are available on morristownship.com under Agenda Center. Certain portions of this meeting may be closed to the public for the purpose of personnel and/or other matters as outlined in the Sunshine Law. Notice to members of the governing body and township staff, any use of electronic devices during this meeting shall be used solely for the purposes of township business, and any communications are subject to the Open Public Records Act. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Grayzel.
Here.
Mr. Gyorfy.
Here.
Mr. Ravitz.
Here.
Mr. Jonnada.
Here.
Mayor Guariglia.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from October 16th, 2024, closed in regular session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We have two proclamations on the agenda tonight, and these are in recognition and celebration of two residents for their 100th year birthdays. So they are not able to be with us this evening, but we'll read the proclamation. And I'll start with the first one, which is for Helen SZEELEY. In recognition and congratulations to Helen SZEELEY. Whereas Helen SZEELEY, a cherished resident of the Township of Morris, has reached the remarkable milestone of her 100th birthday. And whereas it is both fitting and proper that the citizens of the Township of Morris, through their elected officials, honor and celebrate this extraordinary occasion. And whereas the mayor and members of the Township Committee wish to publicly recognize and celebrate this significant and joyous event in the life of a longtime resident. And now, therefore, the governing body of the Township of Morris, on behalf of all residents, extends its heartfelt congratulations to Helen SZEELEY on the occasion of her 100th birthday. We honor her remarkable journey, celebrate her legacy, and express our best wishes for continued health and happiness in the years ahead. So very happy birthday to Helen and her family, and we hope that if you can either watch us on Zoom or we have a chance to, we'll get the proclamation to you. The other proclamation is for KARL MARX.
Oh, yeah.
Should I just do this one as well? In recognition and congratulations to KARL MARX, whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Morris proudly recognizes KARL MARX, a township resident who recently celebrated his 100th birthday. And whereas, as a member of the greatest generation, KARL's exemplary life serves as a model to aspire to. Between October 1944 and March 1945, KARL served our country in World War II, flying 32 missions as an engineer gunner in a B-17 dubbed the Worry Bird, named for a popular 1940s toy. And whereas KARL's bomber group, the 486th Bomb Group, played a vital role in supporting ground troops during key military campaigns, including the invasion of Normandy, the Battle of the Bulge, and the assault across the Rhine, among others. And whereas, following his distinguished military service, KARL and Mary, his late wife of 67 years, raised their two daughters in the Township of Morris and later welcomed the joy of 4 grandchildren. And whereas the Township Committee wishes to express its heartfelt gratitude to KARL for his service and commend him for his courage, honor, sacrifice, and the dedication he displayed while serving our country in World War II in the cause of justice, freedom, and democracy, which are most worthy of recognition. And now, therefore, the governing body of the Township of Morris, on behalf of the residents, extends our sincere congratulations to Karl Marx on reaching his extraordinary milestone of 100 years, and we celebrate his remarkable life with admiration, respect, and best wishes for many more happy birthdays to come. And a couple of us, including Deputy Mayor Grayzel, got to speak with Karl Marx at the senior holiday party, and he was also in attendance on Veterans Day, both here and at Morristown. So again, congratulations to Karl. There are currently 3 members of the public joining us, and there are no members on Zoom. At this time, we will open the meeting to public comment. We'll first take comments from in-person attendees, and then we'll switch over to Zoom. Please use the raise hand feature on Zoom if you would like to speak. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that your comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. Is there a motion to open the public comment?
Mayor, there's 4 members of the public
Oh,
on Zoom.
I'm sorry.
And I will make that motion.
On Zoom.
Oh, thanks. I have to go to attendees.
I'll second it if you need a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any members here in Town Hall that would like to speak?
Jack or Greg, can you work on this mic?
Tim, move it to the side, maybe?
Here comes the help. Cavalry is on the way.
It's hot here. It is.
Thank you. Good evening, Township Committee. My name is Pamela Watson, and I thought I would be doing this later, but since you opened up the door, I wanted to wish all the Township Committee members a very wonderful and happy holiday season and a great happy new year for 2025. So I wanted to wish you and your families to have a great holiday celebration.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
To you and
Pamela.
yours as well.
And same to you. If there's anyone on Zoom, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Seeing no other members here and no hands raised on Zoom, is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have 2 ordinances for public hearing and adoption on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance 25-24 into the record, and we will open the public hearing.
Ordinance 2524, an ordinance amending Chapter 88, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Parking, Stopping, and Standing, Section 2.2, Parking Prohibited at All Times on Certain Streets, Schedule 1, Amendments for Gregory Avenue and Kennedy Road. Note, no parking requirements for the reconstruction of Kennedy Road and Gregory Avenue.
We will take comments from in-person attendees first and then switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand on Zoom to indicate you would like to speak. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 25-24?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any members from the public like to address this ordinance? Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak, will someone make a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 25-24?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions or discussions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy.
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. I, Donna J. Guariglia, Mayor, declare ordinance number 25-24 approved and adopted and direct the Township Clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance 26-24 into the record, and we will then open the public hearing.
Ordinance number 2624, an ordinance of the Township of Morris authorizing the amendment of Chapter 478, Vehicles for Hire, so as to facilitate compliance with NJSA 396B-1. Note, amends ordinance to reflect changes in the state statute.
We'll again take comments from in-person attendees first, then we'll switch over to Zoom. Please virtually raise your hand on Zoom if you would like to speak. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 26-24?
So moved, Mayor, but I would like to also ask, given the note attached to the ordinance that reflects changes in the state statute, I thought perhaps Mr. Quinn should inform the public of what the change in the statute was so they could ask questions appropriately. So I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
It deals with a significant increase in insurance coverage that is required by the operators of the livery license or taxi licenses.
So we're going to reflect in the ordinance the increased coverage that we're requiring at the local level
Yes,
to meet the state
the
statute.
state statute. And you'll see later on in the agenda, we have several taxi license operators, and they have provided that insurance, that minimum insurance coverage as required by state statute.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, will someone make a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-24?
So moved.
Sec.
Any discussion or questions? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Gyorfy?
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel?
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Mayor Guariglia?
Yes. I, Donna J. Guariglia, Mayor, declare ordinance number 26-24 approved and adopted and direct the Township Clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. We have 24 resolutions on tonight's agenda. Before we proceed, I'd like to note that Resolution 293-24 has been added to tonight's agenda. This resolution arises from discussions held during the closed session earlier this evening. It will be voted on separately. Also, we will discuss and vote on resolutions 281-24 and 287-24 separately. May I have a motion to approve? Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. I have a question about 272, but we can address that. Should we pull it out separately?
If you would like to pull it.
No, we don't have to pull it.
You can answer your question.
What? I
You
can
can
just
answer
ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, so on this one, we have an accompanying proposal for services for oversight of the installation of this air zone blower. And I was just looking through the accompanying documentation, and I had thought that we were buying 4 of them, or 3 of them, and rebuilding 1. So I'm wondering, is this purchase that we're doing tonight for just one of the 2 sewer plants? And
Yes.
it doesn't cover both of the sewer plants?
No, sir, it's just one that is failing and then having a backup.
Okay, so we're going to have another resolution next year to purchase 2 new ones for the other plant possibly?
Well, as your request, you wanted to have a meeting on that to review that.
Yeah.
So we pulled it from the agenda, so.
So was there a second? There wasn't a second purchase order for blowers, was there?
There are no purchase orders yet. I can't purchase orders.
No. I mean, there was no resolution for 2 additional ones?
No, you requested that the design work that would have included that
no.
to be pulled, which was done.
I understand. Okay. So
We're only doing.
this is only for one plant.
This is just for the repair.
Okay.
For the replacement for the one that's failing.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve resolutions number 269-24 through 280-24 and 282-24 through 286-24 and 288-24 through 292 by one motion?
Mayor, would it be 293?
293.
Now it would be
No.
automatic.
We have to vote on it separately.
Oh,
Yeah, that one we're voting on separately. That's new.
The one from closed
Okay.
session is voted on separately. So.
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
So then it's just, may I have a motion to approve resolutions 269-24 through 280-24 and 282-24 through 286-24 and 288-24 by one motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy.
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes. So the first resolution we're going to discuss is 281-24. Madam Clerk, do you want to read?
Authorizing purchase of one 2024 Ford Ranger XLT Crew Cab 4x4 vehicle for the building department through MCCPC Contract 15C, item number 5, from Chico Ford of Fleming for the amount of not to exceed $36,309.25.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I'd just like to frame the discussion a little bit for the benefit of the public. Morris Township, back in 2019, when Mr. Gyorfy and I joined the committee, we made a commitment to trying to go with clean energies where appropriate for the benefit of the local environment here in Morris Township in terms of going with EVs as opposed to cars that pollute the air, and going with, later on, at Mr. Gyorfy's suggestion, going with electronic or electric utilities, stoves and such in multifamily dwellings to try to, again, be clean. And we also put forward a new ordinance that requires EV charging stations at new commercial development. And we've had many of those installed all over town. We've installed EV charging stations here at Town Hall. There are 4 charging stations right outside. We've installed EV charging at Streeter Pool. And we have tried to make an effort to go EV and go clean where we can for the benefit, again, of the air quality here in Morris Township and the benefit of our world and earth overall. And we've been a little bit frustrated in the fact that we put forward this effort to do EV charging and have not been able to purchase cars through state contracts or co-ops. And the state of New Jersey has made it a point of having a goal, I think by 2035, of having a certain percentage of cars be EVs in the state of New Jersey. And they state this goal, yet do not provide the municipalities with the ability to purchase those cars to meet those goals. And so it's been a great frustration for some members of this governing body, the fact that we have not been able to convert our fleet over to EV vehicles over the last 4 years as we've desired to do so. And I know that because of COVID, there were some supply chain issues and costs have now increased and cars are more expensive. And there are a lot of things that go into it. But just to help frame this discussion, there's been a lot of frustration over the last few years due to the fact that we haven't moved forward on electronic vehicles in this municipality, as Mr. Gyorfy and I had wanted to do going back, 4 or 5 years now. And so I think that's the discussion that we're going to have is some of the comments are born out of that frustration. And I just wanted to provide that background that we have wanted to do this. We have been unable to do this. And I think we're at the point of really pushing harder to convert some of our fleet vehicles to EVs.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Quinn, would you like to just give the public some background too on how the purchase of this vehicle and the other we'll discuss how it came to be that?
Yeah, you want me to refer to both vehicles? My comments?
If that's okay with everybody, I think that's appropriate because we're having the same discussion on the other vehicle as well, but we'll do them one at a time.
Yes, Mayor, I do. I prepared some notes just in reference to as Deputy Mayor Grayzel said, a significant amount of frustration with the inability to even have them on a state co-op or state contract, county co-op for the EV vehicles that we can replace. it's going back to COVID. We did purchase a hybrid EV vehicle that was ordered just before COVID, and we were able to get that, and that is operational on a daily use in the township. So we do have one EV vehicle. The governing body had put forth that they wanted to start converting the fleet there. But when COVID came, it became very difficult to even the availability of cars because of the supply chain. And there were no EV vehicles that were even available through the state contracts or whatever. So in both 2022 and 2023, again, we're right up to the December meeting trying to be able to purchase an EV vehicle with the money that was appropriated in the budget. And there wasn't anything available. So the governing body in both December 2022 and December 2023 did authorize the purchase of vehicles. It's 3 vehicles in 2022 and 2 vehicles in December of 2023 to add there and replace vehicles. And Morris Township keeps its vehicles between 18 to 20 years before we take them out of line, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But even though the governing body authorized the purchase of these vehicles in December of 2022 and December of 2023, we just received those 5 vehicles last month. That is the time frame that we've had to wait to get these vehicles, and they've never had EVs on there. We were having the same issue here in 2024, and we are again waiting and waiting and waiting. Finally, the state of New Jersey did come on with a 2024 Ford Escape hybrid EV. However, it came in at over $49,000 just for the base price, and with the amenities that we require, such as floor mats, undercoating, additional keys, it brought the cost of over $50,000. For these 2 vehicles that we wish to purchase, we had budgeted $40,000 for each of the vehicles in the 2024 budget, one for the construction office, one for the administrative office. Of note, the same vehicle I'm talking about that is now over $50,000 that we had purchased in 2021, we had purchased it for $34,000. So in that 3-year period, we're seeing over a 17 or 100% increase in the cost, of that vehicle. Again, we are here at the end of the year. The money is in the operating budget, so if the money is not appropriated by the end of the year, and with vehicles it requires a resolution, the money then goes into reserve for 2025, and it goes back into fund balance in 2026. We did, as I said, have funding for 1 vehicle in the construction office, and the need to purchase a pickup truck. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a 2008 pickup truck that was used by our buildings and grounds and parking employees. The transmission went on that 2008 vehicle, and it's not repairable, or it's not worth repairing. So that time, I authorized that we took a 2014 pickup truck from the construction office and reassigned it to our buildings and grounds and parking, so they could do their daily work. Looked to purchase an EV pickup truck that was available on the co-op. The only EV pickup that is available is a Ford 150 Lightning that goes for $56,000. However, we were able to purchase, which is the resolution for tonight, a Ford Ranger pickup truck for the cost of $36,309, which is below our $40,000 that we had appropriated in the budget. Also in the budget was $40,000 to replace the 2007 Dodge Charger. It has significant mechanical issues, including brakes. It is barely roadworthy and primarily used by our code enforcement officer for property maintenance and parking enforcement. It is also used for inspections at times by Mr. Wilson from our tax assessor's office, and by our public health nurse, Ms. Whitehead, when she has to do her inspections. And then it's used by employees that need to go on different types of inspections or meeting with our residents or doing some type of township business for that. We have one other pool car. That is a 2006 Ford Taurus. Also has very many mechanical issues. As we were waiting for those 2022 and 2023 vehicles, we were forced to take unsafe vehicles off the roadway to protect our employees and the motoring public. I am concerned that this could happen if we do not replace these vehicles as requested. Waiting another year if they become inoperable, it will certainly impact the township fleet and our efficiency for the various departments to fill their duties and responsibilities. Purchasing protocols are established by the state statute and also by NJDCA. We cannot just go to a car dealer lot and buy a vehicle. We must go out to bid. 2 years ago, we were having difficulty in getting police vehicles. We did go out to bid for police vehicles, and we ended up going out actually twice because we did not receive any bids back either time we went out to bid. The NJDCA and the purchasing protocols do allow that once you go out to bid for twice and you do not get any responses, then you can directly go to the vendor and negotiate a price. And that's what we did with the police vehicles several years ago. Looking at dealerships, as we know, oftentimes there's a very attractive price that comes in, but when you look at it, and I'm sure anybody's done car shopping, it's more of an enticement, and it doesn't include many of the mandatory add-on charges. For example, the one that was quoted at over $49,000, it came in with a base of $42,000, but once you include things such as the mandatory stock kits for EVs, you're required to have an NEE inverter, mounts, brackets, that has to be installed, and then for the extended warranty brings it up to that cost. So it seems attractive on a dealership lot that it might be lower than what you're saying, but I believe certainly we're going to do best by staying with a co-op in purchasing these vehicles, and hopefully now the state of New Jersey will be doing a better job in getting different other vehicles available for us. As I previously stated, the funds in the operating expenses for these two vehicles does expire at the end of the year, but anything over $17,500 does require a resolution. As I said, if it's not appropriated, it will go into reserve for next year, and then it will go into fund balance in 2026. So basically, the money will no longer be available for the purchase of the vehicles. I do recommend that we move forward on both these vehicles and getting the Ford Explorer in addition to the pickup truck. We do have additional requests coming in for vehicles in the 2025 budget. As part of that, I would recommend that we up the vehicle cost from $40,000 to $52,000 for a Ford Escape EV hybrid. As stated, we have two pool cars, a 2007 Dodge Charger and a 2006 Ford Taurus. I have significant safety concerns continuing to use these vehicles for the foreseeable future if they're not going to be taken offline in the next coming months. As I said, will certainly impact the overall operation of the township of not having enough vehicles, in which we've just gone through with the last several years of having not enough vehicles for us to do our daily work. So, certainly answer any questions to my overview.
Any questions?
I have questions and comments, but I'll go to the questions first. For the bid process, what's the window of time for a bid? For the amount of days we go out to bid, how long we wait, how long we have to wait to award, and then how long we have to wait till we go out to bid again?
It would be roughly 30 days is what we normally do on it. And then we can certainly go back out to bid. But again, it has to be approved by the governing body. So we are under the schedule here. So
probably 4 months it would take to go out to bid twice, potentially.
That would be for maybe 3 months. We might be able to narrow it down a little bit if we don't, get something right away.
And then I don't know if this is you both can answer, Mr. Cantor and Mr. Quinn, but how is it that we have to go out to, and this is a state question, that we have to go out to bid for a vehicle purchase, but we don't have to go out to bid for a $260,000 contract for the sewer department?
Professional services are excluded from the bidding process.
Okay. So can we hire professional service to purchase vehicles for us?
No, that would be around the public contracting law.
Nice try.
I was being facetious and trying to point out gaping holes in state regulations and how ineffective the state government actually is. And I appreciate both Mr. Quinn and Mr. Grayzel pointing out that the state It says all these mandates, and they have grandiose climate action plans, yet they give the local governments absolutely nothing to, no resources to actually fulfill them. However, I know other towns are still buying cars directly from dealerships. So I opposed both resolutions. In the resolution we passed, this governing body passed unanimously in 2022 on our municipal fleet policy. We said we'd buy hybrid or electric vehicles as consistent with our Morris Township Environmental Action Plan when feasible. These vehicles are back on the lots now. I think it's feasible for us to buy them. We should be going out to bid and trying to directly negotiate with dealers if we don't get any bids. Other towns are doing this. And I agree, we should be budgeting more money for this, because taking the cheapest car out there is not necessarily the best thing for our town. It's not the best thing for our employees, not the best thing for our residents. I will say, though, there are less expensive options out there as well. The Ford Maverick hybrids are in the $30,000 range. They're off the lots now. They were on the lots earlier this year. They're coming out with all-wheel drive ones next year. The Escapes are new with all-wheel drive. I know that was a concern, but they're coming out in all-wheel drive. So I agree we should budget more for them in the next year. But I oppose these because if the co-ops weren't having them, then we should have been trying to go out to bid during the year to get them. That's my opinion. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other opinions before Deputy Mayor?
I have another, Mr. Quinn, thank you for that summary. With regard to the pool vehicle, the Explorer, is there a need, and possibly, I'm sure there might be, to have such a large vehicle? The other vehicle was a Taurus, and this one's an Explorer, which carries a lot of cargo. Is there a benefit to having that extra cargo space?
Yeah, there is for equipment and other things that goes out for, whether it's engineering, whether it's construction. We also looked at the Ford Escape, which was on the contract at the same time. And this one was just under $40,000. And then we did undercoating and everything that brought it over to $40,000. But the Ford Escape is at $37,726. So it would be a savings of about $2,500 if you wanted to go with a gas-powered Ford Escape rather than the Ford Explorer. So that's the difference, is $2,500.
Okay. And what do you estimate, based on the pool vehicles and the amount of miles they travel in a year, how much might we save on gas? How many miles does a pool vehicle travel?
Oh, I have to go back and get you that. I don't have that
That's a
with me.
tough-
But
that's a
most
tough
of our
question.
vehicles, as you know, Jeff, we're keeping vehicles like 17. I mean, these are vehicles 16, 17 years. They've got, that 70,000 range. It's not like they're in the hundreds of thousands of miles. Our vehicles don't travel a lot of miles, and we keep them a long time, but we try and keep them in good condition. Mechanically, they usually break down or they rust out. We like to do some preventative things like undercoating and other things to prolong their life, especially if they're going to be exposed to salt for that kind of a period. So you'll see the vehicles that we hold on to them for quite a long period of time. So you're probably talking 10,000 miles a year on a vehicle.
The reason I ask the question is just to point out the fact that there's cost savings by going EV and not having to purchase the gas. So something to consider as we sort of make the calculations in our head. There's a little bit of savings.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Maybe
paying
it
for
might be a
electric,
few
but I can't really tell you what it is electric, because it just rolls into our electric bill. It's not broken out specifically.
Right. The other comment I'd like to make is Mr. Quinn brought up police vehicles, and just to point out that we've also been, Mr. Gyorfy and I have been talking about having hybrid police vehicles for a number of years, and they were around for a little while. They don't seem to be available anywhere, but just so everybody understands, we don't want to go to fully electric for the police department, because if they're on a long chase, for example, we don't want them running out of charge. So they have to be hybrid, so ensure that they can complete their rounds without having to recharge. But we are pushing to get in the future hybrid police vehicles to this end of being cleaner for Morris Township. And I also I didn't say it in my introductory remarks, but I've not only been pushing this internally, but I've spoken numerous times with Congresswoman Cheryl's staff, informing them that we're having these issues and understanding that it's not a Morris Township problem. probably not even a New Jersey problem, but a national problem of these car companies not putting enough vehicles, manufacturing enough vehicles to meet the needs of municipalities all around the country. And I think this is a national issue that I've pushed Congresswoman Cheryl on a number of times, and informing her of the state that we're in here in Morris Township as an example of what might be happening around the country in other municipalities. So we're committed to this, and I think we need a new policy going forward. If I could make one other comment, in my discussions with Mr. Gyorfy, we had a very productive conversation about the EVs and other issues, and we came up with the idea of next year, if we can't get competitive pricing through the co-ops or the contracts, is to form our own local buying group. And as a shared service project next year, I'm going to propose that the shared services committee that we have contact the other towns, do a survey of the electronic vehicle EVs that they have, the EVs that they might be putting in their budget for next year and the coming years, and try to pool those vehicles together. You're shaking your head.
I think you're going to have, well, I'll let you finish.
I'm just saying, we're trying to come up with ideas to work around the issues that we're facing. And if we're going to go out to the private market to buy a vehicle instead of just going out there for 2 vehicles, if we can go out there with more vehicles by grouping towns together, and we might have to figure out the logistics. But again, we're focused on trying to be cleaner and doing the right thing and buying the EV vehicles. And I just want the public to understand what we're trying to get at.
I was just going to say on it, the purchasing procedures and what our requirements for the state of New Jersey are challenging. In order to actually even go out, you have to go out to a bid. So if you're going to go out and buy 10 cars, you have to have the money in the bank for those 10 cars. But the other towns can't give you that money because they want to purchase cars. So they would be giving us that money. I don't know how they would transfer that money over to us. It just
maybe
Can we set up as a utility? Set up as a utility or something?
Right. Or Mr. Jeffery's suggestion that we go get an outside purchasing agent to pool these together for us. There's got to be some way we can do it. It's a hurdle. I understand. I'm just throwing out ideas to try to help us get there.
Okay. It's challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging.
With the purchasing protocols of the state of New Jersey. I don't know if it's Candy, you have anything else, but it's just,
I mean, the only thing you could think about doing is, and I don't know who would do this particularly, but you could probably hire someone to entice people to bid when we go out to bid. And you have conversations with the dealerships, let them know we're going out and encourage them to bid.
Yeah.
That's really all you can do. I mean, I know.
But that would be individual to towns.
Yeah. I don't know about joining.
Yep. So maybe we package our bids together and I'll do it on the same day. Something like that.
Well, no, because if you don't, I mean, yes, but you also have to be fair. I mean, every dealership would have the right, and everybody who has these cars have the right to bid. So we have to also be careful that I'm not tailoring our bids towards any particular dealer and get tricky.
No, not at all. No,
Yeah,
not at all.
no.
I mean, if one dealer can't fulfill 8 cars, they can only fulfill 3. They can bid on the 3. We're just trying to throw out ideas to try to solve a problem.
You can have alternative bids. I mean, you could do alternative bids.
Did we ever receive the hybrid interceptors that we ordered a few years ago, or they weren't filled?
No, we could not get them.
Okay.
We tried and we were not able to get them.
Okay.
I do think in keeping with the goals of where the committee wants to go, and getting more hybrids and EVs is absolutely something we should do. I have a little bit of concern, especially with the truck purchase here, though, that because it is, it's $36,309. And if it's something that we can purchase now, I agree with everything going forward. But I think that my own personal opinion right now is maybe this is one that we should approve so that we have it. And then moving forward, we continue to look at all the other options and in keeping with.
Can I just make a suggestion for next year? Can we go out to bid after the budget's passed, try twice, and then if we don't get anything good, then we go with the co-op at the end of the year again? And that's what our default is.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
There's no issue with that.
Just 2 other items, in the construction budget, we have to match our expenses with the amount of revenue that we take in, and we have to file with DCA every year. And we have been routinely buying a vehicle because they're our busiest department, and we've got inspectors going, every day of the week, and between plumbing, electric, fire, building subcodes, and all the employees. I mean, it's a nonstop operation. But if our revenue is much higher than our expenses, the state could come back and tell us that we need to lower our building permit fees. So we're always cognizant of what we're spending in the construction office and looking at. So, we're tracking every expense that we normally do for the rest of town, but whether it be gasoline, whether it be equipment, whether it be operating expenses, it all goes into a calculation that we have to file with DCA at the end of the year, along with all the information on the revenue we took in from permits. And so, if we came in at, $2 million of revenue and $1 million of expenses, it'll hiccup. So we want to make sure that we are, looking at that, and that is, one of the reasons also. And then, as I said, I do have, having two pool cars that are 17 and 18 years old is for me, it's concerning.
Committeeman Ravitz.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the comments from my colleagues here on the dais. I share in the frustration. Being an environmentalist myself, I would like to see not only the township, but I'd like to see the whole country and the whole world move toward a sustainable future. And EVs are a big part of that. But there are times that you have to play the hand you're dealt, and we're dealt with a pretty lousy hand here, both from an environmental perspective and from a township perspective, in that the state really doesn't give us a lot of option, and we have to still be judicious with taxpayer money, which doesn't mean we always go for the cheaper option. I think one of my colleagues has said that, because cheaper is not necessarily better. But at this point, we do have vehicles that are becoming unsafe, untenable. The money is in the budget. It's been allocated. And I will agree with my colleagues here on the dais that moving forward next year, we do need to come up with a new plan for purchasing so we can move to a more sustainable fleet. And that would include going out to the bid process, as was mentioned twice. And if that comes back as a nay, then going out on our own and doing it. But it's something that we need to plan for. It wasn't planned for this year. I think we need to do a better job of planning for it next year. So if we were looking at a $40,000 vehicle, so to speak, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but the EV equivalent of that vehicle is going to be, $55,000, let's say, then we need to budget for that and plan for it, and plan for the time it's going to take to go through that process and finally get delivery on the vehicle. So good stewardship by the township committee will go a long way in helping to mitigate this problem. And like I said, I share in the frustration, but this is what we're dealt with right now.
I would just follow up. We've had issues with the co-ops for 3 years. Like we said, we should have went out to bid this year because we knew the co-ops were going to fail us. So that's my biggest frustration.
All right. With that frustration, I would also, if there's a defer to purchase these vehicles next year, I can't use this money that was appropriated this year. We would have to appropriate an additional $100,000 into the 2025 budget to purchase these two vehicles, in addition to the most likely 3 vehicles that will be, requested for in the 2025 budget. As you all know, we have some extraordinarily high costs that are beyond our control, dealing with healthcare, salary increases, other insurance costs that are going to be, make the 2025 budget, very challenging for us, especially expenses of, pension and healthcare that we just get an assessment we don't have any control over. So it would be my recommendation that, we do move forward, because I think deferring this and having to raise the money in the next year's budget is also going to be challenging.
Any other comments?
I'll just echo all the colleagues about this, because after 4 or 5 years, we have no EVs, maybe just one hybrid. So I would encourage that we look for EV vehicles next year at the earliest, and with all the options that we can get. So, I mean, I'm reluctant to vote for this, but as Committeeman Ravitz said, we have to deal with the hand that we're dealt with. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments or
Yeah, I
questions?
had another question. So if the funds go over to, you say it comes out of operating this year, it goes into reserve for next year and then back into fund balance for 2026. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So then if we take the equal amount out of fund balance in next year's budget, then it would be returned in 2026 because we'd be getting this money back? Or if we budget this much less into fund balance next year in next year's
We
budget?
don't have our fund balance numbers yet, but yes, we can.
So it would be a net even potentially?
If you wanted to increase the amount that you allocate out of fund balance, within our fund balance policy.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to say that, based on the way we operate our construction code department and the need to balance expenses with revenues, I don't see a way that we can vote against 281 for the Ford Ranger because it's an expense that's going to go into the calculation for the construction code department this year. And like Mr. Quinn says, we could get negatively impacted if our expenses don't match our revenues for the calendar year. And that I know is very, very important. So again, echoing what Mr. Ravitz said about having to deal with the hand that we've been dealt, I don't see a way of us not voting for the Ford Ranger for the construction code. I'm also leaning towards, even though it hurts me, it's like I'm stabbing myself, but I don't see a way of not voting for the Explorer either, given the circumstances, not knowing what the financial situation is going to be in the budget next year, et cetera, et cetera. We are committed to EVs across the board here in Morris Township. And again, just so frustrated with the state of New Jersey and our federal government for not providing us the resources to take these climate actions like everybody talks about. They talk, but they don't walk the talk, as I like to say. We're trying to do that here in Morris Township, but again, we're just not given the resources to do that. So we're going to try to do better next year. And
Thank you,
Look at
Deputy
that.
Mayor. Again, agreed. I think that the plan, some of the things you've spoken about, both you and Committeeman Gyorfy, are some things that we definitely commit to and actually make sure happen as we move forward. But if there aren't any other questions or comments?
I would just say, I get the Ford Ranger. I would say, again, like I just talked about before, bring the money over, budget out of it for next year, buy an Escape instead of an Explorer next year. Yeah, it's extra paperwork. We're going against the policy the policy we wrote and set, and we're going against it. We're not keeping ourselves accountable for it. We can buy a different car next year if we don't buy the Explorer. We can make it work. It's next month. Next year starts next month.
I'm leaning in favor of approving both.
Mr. Quinn, in terms of the timing of buying the second vehicle, replacing the Ford Explorer with something in next year's budget, so we would take possession of the Ford Explorer when, if we pass the resolution tonight?
All depends on availability. We send it in, as I said, we've had to wait 2 years for the other ones. I'm hopeful that we're going to get back on track. Normally, we've had to wait, 6 months or so in getting these vehicles once they're ordered. But I can't give you a definitive. If they have something on lot that we can take, that would be terrific.
Right.
And all of the specs that come on, they quote unquote limited supply.
Right.
So if it's on lot, we might be able to get it fairly soon. But I will not know until we place that order.
And if, as Mr. Gyorfy suggests, we push off purchasing that vehicle to next year's budget, how early in the year can we purchase that budget? Can we do it with the preliminary budget, or do we have to wait for the full budget before we can place that order?
No, you can put money into the temporary budget and you can start the process.
We can start the process.
But
And we normally pass the temporary budget in February or March?
The temporary budget's done at the reorg meeting.
It's done at the reorg meeting.
Right, but it has, we have a lot of, the biggest challenge with the temporary budget is it's 26% of all of your expenses, 26.7%.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of expenses in the beginning of the year that we have to put out, like our joint insurance fund, we have to pay out half of that already. That's, that's close to $1 million. There's another, a lot of expenses that are due right after the first of the year. So it is challenging with the temporary budget. Normally we would wait until the budget is adopted, most likely in April, and then we would go out to the process once the budget is adopted and in place.
Okay.
Because you're locking yourself in at that point, and if you have other budget issues that come up, you have no recourse to back out and say we're not going to do that. So,
All right. So
you have to be very careful with the temporary budget, just because until you get your final budget done or you're comfortable with it. If we have something, we have shortfalls that don't come in, especially after we get back our annual financial statement, which will be the first week in February. How much money do we have to roll over into fund balance? What are the other expenses coming? What are our expenses going to be projected for salary and wages with our insurance costs? So, we are looking at that as part of the overall budget process, and we really won't have those numbers until we confirm what our state aid numbers are going to be at the end of February, and then introducing the budget in, following past years and following that in March. So it would be my recommendation to wait until the budget is fully adopted, just in case there's any hiccups along the way. You're not already committing yourself to certain funds that you may have wished you did not.
Okay, so sorry for prolonging the conversation, but I do have one more question. If we were to put forward 287 to buy the Explorer, found out that it's not available for over a year, next year, can we reallocate the money by resolution and go out to bid for an EV vehicle?
Good question.
No,
No, we can't reallocate the money for another vehicle?
not from going from one expense to one calendar year to another year for that funding. No.
No?
Now, you may be able to do something with the dealerships if they're willing to change it out, but we would need to go back to our auditors and review with them, because what you'll be doing tonight is you are passing a resolution authorizing the purchase of this vehicle, and then that authorizes us to place the order with them. Now, if they come back and say it's going to be a year now, you may decide, well, let's cancel it, and we'll, do it again. You can certainly do that, but you can't. You're not going to be able to reappropriate that money.
Okay, so if we place the order, are we placing it with the co-op or are we placing it with the dealer?
You're placing it with the dealer who is honoring the co-op price.
And which dealer is that?
Nielsen, I believe.
Nielsen Ford. Nielsen Ford.
It's right here in Morristown, Morris Township, I should say. Okay, so since that's the dealer that has cars on the lot, if they come back, and I'm just throwing out a hypothetical, if they come back and say they're not going to have the vehicle for a year, you're saying then we can go negotiate with that dealer and
No,
say we want something else in place?
No. You can only negotiate if you go out to bid on 2 occasions and don't get any bids. Then you can negotiate.
So can we so again, sorry, just so I'm fully clear on this. If they say we can't have a vehicle for over a year, so we're looking at 2026 to get the vehicle, can we take that money and go out to bid?
No.
No, we can't reallocate it for any reason.
No. The money goes at the end of the year, goes into reserve if it's not used.
Okay. Thank you. And sorry again for prolonging the conversation. I think these are all important I think these are all important questions to answer and make an informed decision.
Purchasing procedures in the state of New Jersey are complicated for those that don't deal with it every single day.
Yeah.
So it's really, that's why we have a QPA, we're required to.
So,
and
Mr.
make sure
Quinn, you understand where I'm trying to get at.
I know where you're trying to get at.
I'm trying to find a way for us to satisfy our needs for
And I have
vehicles
handcuffs on.
and do the right thing by what our policy is to purchase EV vehicles. And it's again, extremely frustrating.
It's just not on vehicles on the purchasing protocols. It's on a lot of things. And what you have to do and the hoops you have to jump through in order to do that. As I said, you can't appropriate any money unless you have it in the bank and it's approved. So you can't have wishful budgeting saying, well, we know this money's going to come in and we're going to do this for next year. You have to have it appropriated in the budget. And then, as I said, anything over 17,500, you have to have the adjoining resolution.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll just add one thing to the conversation, because obviously I said as municipal attorney in 4 towns, this problem is not unique to Morris Township, and that's why the issues are rising. I think a lot of municipalities in the state are trying to become more compliant. The state contracts and the co-ops are a great opportunity because they do provide, the state has already approved the price and already approved the product, and it avoids the bidding process and all involved in that. But this is a problem. And the state contracts and co-ops are great. There's a lot of products and a lot of things on there. But this is certainly not a unique issue to Morris Township. All municipalities are struggling to get the EV. Most municipalities I represent at least want EV vehicles and are struggling to get them. So maybe if we come up with a process for next year, and maybe it's notifying the dealerships of the bids going out, and I don't know if they're aware, but I don't know why they don't respond to the bids.
Thank you.
Probably because they don't want to do the paperwork.
It probably is. It probably is.
If there's,
They're not making a lot of money on us, and that's one of the advantages when you're going out in the co-ops is they know they're going to be guaranteed so many vehicles that they're going to be able to sell. But when they're doing it here, the cost margin is extremely low. So if it's just, if I'm going to make $2,000 on Morris Township, it's not worth it to me. But if I know that I can sell 100 vehicles at $2,000 profit, it is worth me.
Mhm.
So that's
Right. And that's what I was trying to get at with
Mark.
purchasing.
right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the advantage of co-ops is that when they bid on the co-ops, because it's a bidding process for those co-ops.
Yeah.
But they know, they have an idea of how many items they're going to be able to sell, and they can determine their profit margin, based on that.
Mayor, I think we need to split the votes on 281 and 287.
Exactly. We're going to do that. That was what I was just going to say. I do want to say, I hope the public does appreciate that having this discussion here on the dais and listening to the situation that we are put in, and it's not just us, it's other towns as well. There's an understanding as to sometimes how hard it is when you're trying to stick to the policies that are implemented and do the right thing. And yet you have to make decisions especially at the end of the year that impact how we go forward. So I hope there's some appreciation for that. If there are no other questions or comments, then I will ask for a motion to approve Resolution 281-24.
So moved.
Second,
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
yes.
Mr. Gyorfy.
No.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mayor Griglia.
Yes,
The resolution passed.
thank you. The next resolution, 287-24. Madam Clerk, will you read the resolution, please?
287-24, authorizing the purchase of one 2025 Ford Explorer K8D active vehicle for the Administration Department through MCCPC Contract 15C, Item 3, from Nielsen Ford of Morristown, Inc., for an amount not to exceed $40,043.
And I just want to be clear here and have the understanding, which I think you just verified from Deputy Mayor Grayzel, that in this case, there is no way that we could go out. If we don't approve this, we can't go out and then bid
Not using these funds.
not using these funds. We would have to, this would be over and then we'd just go into the next year
That is correct, ma'am.
and have to, okay. Is there any other questions or discussions on Resolution 287-24?
I just want to reiterate one point that Mr. Quinn said before we vote, and the fact that I have now concern that if we purchase the Explorer, we might not get it for 1 to 2 years. And that's a problem given the age of our fleet vehicles, and that's possibly faster to actually wait till next year and purchase it off a lot. Again, this is a very tough decision to make in the moment. Do you want to comment on that? It's just a thought that just occurred to me.
I am hopeful that we're not going to be waiting this 1 to 2 years, that we're going to be back in the normal cycle now that vehicles are more readily available from the dealers. We ran into this cycle, this supply chain issue and trying to get them. And then all of a sudden, the 22s and the 23s all came in together. I am hopeful now that they're also offering EVs on the state contracts and the co-ops, although they are significantly more expensive, that the turnaround time will be. So I don't think we're going to see that 1 to 2 year on this. I'm hopeful that they'll have something readily available and we should be able to get it, within a month or two. I certainly wouldn't expect it to be much longer than that, but you certainly have the option to, to cancel the order if it's going to be, if you approve it and the order's placed, you do have the option at some point to cancel the order.
So if we cancel the order, it goes back into the fund balance for 26.
Again, the money is
Goes-
not, you cannot reappropriate the money.
Well, this is really complicated.
But you can cancel the order and then go out and look for a different car.
But there's no,
But they- but
Right, with that, I
But we
understand
would-
that.
We would have to have the money in the
But
budget.
you
In the
don't have
budget,
to-
correct.
You have to have the money in the
And-
budget,
and
so.
It would be really nice to make the decision tonight, knowing when we would be getting the vehicle.
Right,
and
that's,
Well,
It's an
and the
unknown.
budgeting is
You
an issue for
may-
next year too.
If you approve it, and then when we come up around the budget, we can, have the funding there. We should know during the budget process for 2025 if about when we're going to get the vehicle, hopefully have it. And then you can certainly decide if you want to, if they say it's going to be a year and you want to cancel it, and then,
put it in the budget.
put money into the budget to buy an EV, you certainly have.
We could do
you
that.
certainly have that option.
From what I'm hearing, there's going to be 3 vehicles that need to be purchased next year.
That's the request I have.
That's
so
the request.
far.
Okay, that's not approved, but that's a request.
Nothing is approved.
So, for those 3 vehicles, I think that if we put together a new policy of going out, and going out to bid and then waiting, and because if we wait till April to, for our final budget to be approved, that still gives us enough time in the year to go through that process twice. And if need be, then go out directly to the dealership. But to add another vehicle, a 4th vehicle, it creates even more uncertainty in next year's process that I don't think that, is necessarily a good idea if we approve
Right.
3 new vehicles
Right.
for next year.
So I have another question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So if we go ahead and put the purchase order in for the Explorer, do we need a reason for canceling it next year? Can we do it of our own volition come January? And when we have more information, can we cancel it?
I'll ask you, but the purchase order is a contract.
Mhm.
Once you've done that, is a contract. I think if they came back and they said, we don't know when you're going to get the vehicle.
But if they said they came back and said, we'll get it to you in 6 months, can we then say that's too long and cancel the contract? Is that reason enough to cancel the
I'd have
contract?
to look at the language of the purchase order.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably different for every product. I'd have
Yeah.
to look at it.
Can we put language in the purchase order that has to be within 6 months?
It's probably standard to
Standard
to the co-op, but it might be 3 months, might be 6 months, might be a
Right.
year. I don't know.
Yeah.
We have to look at it.
We'd have to go back and look at it individually because what the requirements are in the co-op specs as to what you're going to do. But a purchase order is a contract.
but if they did say a year, then you're saying that could be reason to
That could be
cancel it
reason
because
that-
that's
that-
too
It
long.
likely is.
Yeah.
It likely is a year. I just don't know the exact cutoff.
And if they want to challenge it or not would be the other question, because if we cancel out, they may have a waiting buyer
Mhm.
that they can then turn around and sell the vehicle to. But again, those are unknown,
Right,
what if scenarios that, we would have to deal with on a,
right.
if the occasion arose. So I don't know if you can, as I said, after the purchase order goes in, we should have a better idea as to what the turnaround time is.
I just wanted to, I'm sorry, I just want to make one more comment. As I know the policy, or what we've done in Morris Township is going out and buying Ford vehicles because we do maintain a maintenance department that is familiar with gasoline Ford engines and whatnot. So we do have an economy there for gasoline. EVs are going to change the whole model for, I think, in this town, because you don't maintain EVs the same way you maintain a gasoline powered vehicle. So I believe that, and I fully support going out and trying to acquire EVs where we can, or hybrids where we can. I think that when we do that, we need to look beyond just Fords. I think we need to look, at every other manufacturer who is out there that is making EV vehicles, because as I said, the gasoline powered engines and battery operated engines, we don't have that expertise here in the township. So that also opens up some new possibilities for us.
Just, Mr. Ravitz, the Ford vehicles primarily is our DPW heavy duty vehicles. But for municipal vehicles, we buy whatever. So we have Nissan pickup trucks, we have Dodges, we've got Ford. So we've got a number of different manufacturers of the vehicles for the municipal fleet, meaning the ones that do our inspections and are going around.
Automobiles.
It's the heavy duty trucks that, with our diesel mechanics that are primarily our fleet is Ford for that. But the other ones here is really what is the best price we can get. And as I said, we've had a run of 2014 Nissan pickup trucks for a while that we've used, and we've had Dodge pickup trucks, Dodge Rams, and then we've had Fords, and we've had other brands of vehicles.
Well, thank you for the clarification.
But we'll whatever is available. If there's something, I would say probably the most consistent thing that we really need for our municipal fleet are vehicles that, especially for our inspectors that are all-wheel drive, they're dealing with a lot of construction sites and other things, inclement weather, those kinds of things. So it's important that they're able to maneuver around the township, especially when that they have to go off-road on the construction sites or things like that.
I would just, again, I oppose the resolution. I think we should stick to our commitment to being good stewards of our environment here. We should stick to our policy that this very body passed 2 years ago. I think we can lose the money this year, have it carry over to 2026 without taking a huge hit. $40,000 of a $6 million fund balance annual that we have is about half a percentage point. I think we can overcome that challenge. And I would urge my colleagues to vote down, and we try to go to bid next year on getting a hybrid.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
I'm going to stand with Mr. Gyorfy in committing to an EV future. I think there are still several unknowns about the contract itself, what the co-op contract says in terms of and the delivery of the vehicle. And this has pained me. This has pained me for a number of days. Having the opportunity to possibly go EV and again buying a gas-powered vehicle. So I'm going to stand with Mr. Gyorfy tonight in opposing this resolution.
Any other questions or comments? May I have a motion to approve Resolution 287-24?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada.
A reluctant yes.
Mr. Grayzel.
No.
Mr. Gyorfy.
No.
Mayor Guariglia.
Yes.
The resolution passed 3-2.
The next resolution is 293-24. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Authorizing settlement of Grand Prix Morristown LLC versus Township of Morris, Block 1001, Lots 6 and 7, 2 Whippany Road. Whereas the Township Assessor and Consulting Tax Attorney have recommended that the Township Committee of the Township of Morris enter into a settlement for the above referenced case for the year 2021 through 2024. Now therefore be here resolved that the Township Consulting Tax Attorney is authorized to execute a stipulation of settlement with the taxpayers as follows. It is agreed that the complaints for the 2021 and the 2024 tax years will be withdrawn. It is agreed that the assessment for 2025 only will be reduced from $24,101 to $13,101. It is agreed that the assessment for 2026 will be returned to $24,101. It is agreed that no refund will be issued and any credit will be applied as through the 2025 assessment change.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or anybody need further explanation? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve resolution number 293-24?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Grayzel.
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada.
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy.
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz.
Yes.
Mayor Guariglia.
Yes. On the consent calendar, we have 10 items this evening. Can I have a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar by one motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consideration of the monthly reports. The following reports are on file in the office of the Township Clerk and Township Administrator. September, Fire and Finance. October 2024, Fire, Joint Court, and Police. November 2024, Tax Department, Joint Court, Library, Fire, and Police. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The total amount of bills and vouchers for this meeting is $8,540,130.18. We are also the tax collector for the school district, the library, and the county. May I have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
This month it's a bargain, so I'm going to move that number.
The county doesn't get a portion. They've already gotten their full allotment.
That's why. Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Gyorfy,
Yes.
Mr. Jonnada,
Yes.
Mayor Guariglia.
Yes. At this time, standing committee reports and general commentary will be provided by each township committee member, and we'll start with Committeeman Jonnada.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'll start with the Winters Farmers Market had opened Sunday, December 1st. It's open from 9:30 to 1 p.m. and will run every Sunday to April. The Environmental Commission has a booth there, so be sure to visit and purchase any other goods that they have in the wintertime. And in terms of EC's other accomplishments or projects, they will continue to deal with food waste and composting, leaf blower issues, our Dark Skies initiative, as well as promoting native plants and the Do Not Plant list of invasives. And they're looking to codify site plan reviews and to develop an ERI, which is an environmental resource inventory, which will be used for the upcoming master plan revision due in a couple of years. And this ERI can be updated with the help of the Highlands Council, which we are looking to join. Mayor Guariglia, Administrator Tim Quinn, and I met with them along with the township planners. We met with them 3 weeks ago, and we went over some issues. But the Highlands Council can help with the ERI, which definitely needs updating, as well as other initiatives. And the Transportation Advisory Committee just wanted to mention that a constituent came to last week's meeting who lives on Locust Avenue, and he witnessed an accident there. An SUV was speeding up the incline and hit a young teenager riding an e-bike. The teenager was wearing a helmet, but he did break a collarbone. I don't think the driver was given a citation, but there was a note a report was written out, and the constituent was asking about possible traffic calming initiatives. And I just wanted to lay out that anyone who wishes to report traffic issues or request traffic enforcement studies can fill out a form on our Morris Township website. And back in November, we went to the League of Municipalities Conference in Atlantic City, and there are many series sessions, but I joined a few fun ones, and I'll just reiterate. In 2026, we will mark the semi-quincentennial, the 250th anniversary of the nation's founding. New Jersey will be a major contributor in the celebrations, and many municipalities are expected to participate. Morris Township will definitely play an honored role since the Continental Army stayed here twice. Also in 2026 is the FIFA Soccer World Cup. The finals will be held in MetLife Stadium, as well as some preliminary games. And it is a great opportunity for Morris Township, since the Red Bulls training facility would most likely be used for one of the teams to practice. And another very fun one was Hollywood in New Jersey. The state has something called Film Ready, which has encouraged many movie studios to film in the Garden State. Again, Mayor Guariglia and Tim Quinn and I met with Film Ready spokesperson, and the township has been a site for filming movies and TV shows and commercials, but this has been done informally. So the Film Ready initiative would make this more formal, and I'll explain more of these in the coming years because there's a lot to do with this. And in terms of history, as I mentioned, we'll be commemorating the 250th anniversary of our nation's birth, and since New Jersey did play a major role in this, and since we are the crossroads of the American Revolution. And needless to say, Morris Township and Morristown will also play a vital role in the commemoration. This was mostly because of where Washington stayed here, but I'll tell briefly about how he came to this the first time. We have all heard about Washington and the Continental Army crossing the Delaware, but how many of us have actually visited Washington's crossing, both New Jersey and Pennsylvania, besides me? Weather permitting, every Christmas has a reenactment of the crossing. I wanted to go there, but I have other things to do on Christmas. The significance of Washington's crossing is the audacity of it all. Some would consider it an act of desperation, but it was well planned in the midst of ongoing defeat. Beginning in late August 1776, Washington's troops were in continuous retreat, losing the Battle of Long Island in Brooklyn and Queens, then the Battle of New York and Manhattan Island, and retreating north, fighting in rearguard actions in Pelham in the Bronx and White Plains in Westchester. They crossed the Hudson, marched to Fort Lee, where they witnessed the loss of Fort Washington. This is where George Washington Bridge is now located. Quickly retreating from Fort Lee before the British troops arrived, they made a long retreat across to Jersey. All the while, General Washington was planning his next bold step. He ordered all the boats along the Delaware River to be commandeered so the British would not be able to use them. Crossing into Pennsylvania, where Washington's Crossing is located, if you want to know what it was called before, it's Johnson's Ferry in New Jersey and McConkey's Ferry in Pennsylvania. On the evening of Christmas Day, he told his troops his plan and read The Crisis by Thomas Paine. These are the times that try men's souls. He crossed the river at night, marched toward Trenton, and surprised the Hessian or German troops garrisoned there. Then they crossed back to the Delaware with their prisoners. But later on, they crossed again and occupied Trenton, where they fought the Second Battle on January 2nd, 1777 at Assunpink Creek. That night, the troops surreptitiously left Trenton and marched northeast toward Princeton, where they surprised and defeated British troops despite initial losses, including that of General Hugh Mercer. After the battle, the Continental Army marched north. They had the choice of either fight at New Brunswick or against a larger British garrison, or march directly north to a little hamlet in the Watchung Mountain Range, which is Morristown, New Jersey. Washington stayed on the green at Arnold's Tavern, where he asked a young officer named Alexander Hamilton to be his aide, and he also met the Marquis de Lafayette. His troops, meanwhile, stayed east of the town along the Loantaka Brook, which is just outside of this building. And one thing I mentioned at the Board of Health meeting, I'll mention it here. This is where he ordered his troops to be inoculated for smallpox. This was considered a resounding success since most of the troops never contracted the disease. Washington loved this place so much that he came back a second time in 1779. So with that, I commemorate Washington's Crossing and Christmas Day, and wishing you all Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Again, always such a great history lesson. Thank you, Committeeman Jonnada. Committeeman Gyorfy.
Thank you, Mayor. My only report is that we went out through the RFP process for the initial engineering and architectural work for the community center project. And the Township Committee will be reviewing those proposals that were received. And I believe the committee will also be getting tours separately of the building to assess its status and start coming up with a game plan with moving forward and coming up with a consensus on which firm we're going to hire to help us with the design phase of the community center project. Happy holidays to everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everyone has a safe and healthy New Year and hope you all enjoy your time with family and friends in the next few weeks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor. I really don't have any standing committee reports, but I do want to just comment on the deliberation that you all heard a little while ago up here on the dais, and I really want to commend my colleagues. I know we had differing opinions, and I know that the decisions that each of us made were painful in our own right, but I think, in our own mind, we did the right thing for the township, whether we voted no or we voted yes. and you get to see, democracy at work. And I applaud the different thought processes, because there was just so much to learn from this, that it just was gratifying inside as one of your elected officials to see this in action. So for those that were here, you got to see something really special in action. I also want to thank everybody for either attending or watching in person this Township Committee meeting. National Spotlight gets all the news, but it's what we do here that has the biggest impact on your life. Happy birthday again to Karl Marx and HELEN SZEELEY on achieving their 100th birthday milestone. Congratulations to Ryan Theriault and Jeff Rodriguez on being appointed to the Morris Township Police Department, and they'll be going through their academy training. But I've had the pleasure of being part of the interview process, and they are just outstanding candidates. The Morris Township Police Department continues to be recognized as one of the finest departments in the county, and in my humble opinion, the entire state. The reorg meeting, notwithstanding, in the first week of January, there will be a new presidential administration before our next regular Township Committee meeting. And I think we can expect a lot of chaos and confusion with the incoming administration, because we, the people, don't yet know what was simple campaign rhetoric or what was actual policies might be. And it's going to cause a lot more anxiety than people may have realized. And to the residents of Morris Township, I pledge to you that I will fight to ensure the rights we have all come to rely on. The rights of all individuals are respected, and that no group is targeted for any retribution or othering by any government official or agency. And I trust my colleagues feel the same way. Which brings me to how I end my commentaries typically. Let's not marginalize or demonize the people who have less political or economic power that some of us now enjoy. Rather, let's stand up to those who profit from our division. Equal rights for all citizens does not diminish the rights of any other citizens. We have more in common than should ever divide us, which we will rediscover by talking to each other. Amplifying misinformation, hateful or violent rhetoric is not a part of any civilized society. And as you go about your day, remember, be kind. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, because kindness matters. And on that, I wish everybody a joyous and safe holiday season and a very happy 2025. I look forward to serving you all and Morris Township in the coming year. Mayor?
Thank you, Committeeman Ravitz.
Mr. Ravitz, if I may, the inauguration is the weekend after our next regular meeting.
20th?
Yeah.
When is our meeting?
17th.
22nd, no,
22nd.
It's not the third Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. It's not the third Wednesday. Thank you for that. So other than that, everything else stays the same. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Grayzel.
Yeah, just to clarify, the point that was just made is given the earliness of January 1st being the first day of the year and being the first Wednesday, we've pushed our regularly scheduled third Wednesday to January 22nd in 2025. Just to clarify that last discussion. I too just have one committee report. Mr. Ravitz just mentioned the appointments of Jeffery Rodriguez and Ryan Theriault as probationary officers. We've said this again here on the dais. Mr. Ravitz and I got to interview those two candidates, and we are regularly astounded at the quality of candidates that want to come to work in Morris Township for our police department. We have a tremendous reputation here in the state of New Jersey, and I'm not saying that to toot our horn. Maybe I'm tooting our horn, but the applicants come saying that telling us that Morris Township has a great reputation for the police department, and they want to work here, which is why they're coming and applying to Morris Township whenever we have openings. And one of the applicants said he pulled his application from somewhere else when he saw that Morris Township had an opening. So I want to congratulate again Chief Shearer, Police Chief Shearer, for the quality of the candidates that he brings forward to us. Look forward to them successfully completing the academy and having a very good career here in Morris Township. I also want to point out that we had a resolution tonight promoting Mark Osterhaus. And Mark has been, Tim, working for us for how many years?
20 plus.
20 plus years. It's a well-deserved promotion, and we will be having a ceremony here in January at our January 22nd meeting to celebrate that promotion, as well as honoring the new police officers that are coming on board here in Morris Township, right?
The new ones that were approved to be hired back in July,
Mm-hmm.
and they graduated the police academy the day before Thanksgiving.
Right.
And they're now in their field training program, but their official swearing in, or their ceremonial swearing in, will also be on the night of January 22nd.
Right. So those two just finished the police academy, and we're going to be giving them their official pins. They're going to have them. They have them already, right?
Right.
They have their numbers assigned to them.
But it's a nice ceremonial that
Yeah.
the township does to swear them in front of family and friends.
Yeah, so please come out on January 22nd to honor our police department and the promotions and the new officers that we have here, because they really are an astounding group of people, and they do a tremendous service for our community. And speaking of tremendous service to our community, I want to, at the end of the year, commend all our volunteers. We have lots of boards and committees that are comprised with volunteers, and all of those people give their time to make Morris Township a better place for all of us. They attend meetings either monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly, but there's a lot of people giving, and sometimes there's multiple planning board meetings, for example, in a month. So sometimes they're attending multiple meetings in a month, and they give their time freely for the benefit of the municipality. And I just want to acknowledge their volunteerism and thank them for stepping up and doing this on behalf of the rest of the community. If you come across a volunteer in our town, I encourage you to thank them also for stepping up and doing work on behalf of the rest of the residents, because our town wouldn't be as great as it is without all those good people stepping up to do those jobs. And in closing, I'll just again wish everybody, I hate to say happy holidays, because we all have our own separate holidays, whether it be Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or others that people might celebrate. But I do want to wish everybody a meaningful holiday, one that brings them joy in whatever they celebrate. And I hope 2025 is a happy and healthy new year for all of us. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge the young man who just entered the room. Nice to see you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Just in time.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah,
He
perfect
he might
timing
have
to
some
show up.
He might have some exciting news from this week to share with the governing body. Maybe.
Sure, as soon as we wrap up, if he does, we can give him a minute. He can have the floor.
Public commentary.
So really quickly, a couple things I want to mention. On the affordable housing, I just want everybody to know that our planners are working together to draft a response for the number that the township was giving. They're working on a number that we will go back, and they're calculating some of the errors that were made on the vacant land assessment. So we will continue to update our residents on that process. Just want everybody to know that many of the committee members do take part in sessions that are run, whether it's by the League of Municipalities or others, on the affordable housing, and we're keeping up to speed with everything there. On the Transportation Advisory Committee, already Committeeman Jonnada had talked about it a little. I have to thank Chris Ruggieri. She's a longtime TAC member who has decided to take some time off, and she's stepping down. So just want to thank her. She did a lot of hard work in our Morris Township in Motion. So just really pleased that she could do that. And a special thank you to her. The seniors have put together their new schedule for next year. Have to mention the senior holiday lunch that they put on every year. It was a huge success. It's great food, good conversation. They give away lots of gifts. And of course, they're great line dancers. So for those of us that were there, we really had a great time, and they always do a great job. Coffee with the mayor in December. It's a busy time of year. We didn't get as many people that show up at Mount Kimball that we normally do, but those who did come, affordable housing issues are always a concern. And the next one will be in the new year at the Collinsville Firehouse. So I encourage any of our residents to come. It's a really nice time to sit and ask any questions or give input. The leaf collection is still going on. It should wrap up this Friday. Every neighborhood should have been gone through 3 times. So hopefully by Friday, every neighborhood doesn't have any large leaf piles. If there are some somewhere and you notify us, we'll make sure we get out and remove them, but they should be clear. So as we wrap up 2024, I have to say I can't believe how fast this year went. It has been a pleasure to serve our community, and I've been honored to be Morris Township's mayor. I do want to thank the committee members for all their hard work and their accomplishments this year. Special thanks to our attorney, Jared Cantor, and his firm. To our professional staff, your expertise and dedication to not only help guide our residents throughout the year, but the input and feedback you dispense to advise the decisions we make is so valuable, especially this year with the affordable housing concerns, a lot of stormwater management and flooding concerns, incorporating complete streets, open space, and all-around improvements for our town. Our administrator, Tim Quinn, and the township employees who run the day-to-day operations here at Town Hall also deserve to be recognized and appreciated. And again, especially the one to my right, our town clerk, Sue Walsh. Appreciate all her hard work. As mentioned, our volunteers are some of our most valued resources. Not only do they show up and work hard, but their enthusiasm and authenticity in caring for our community is always present. Please join one of our committees, sit in on a meeting when you can, or make the effort to stop by Coffee with the Mayor to get to know us better. We are here to serve you, and your experiences are the best way for us to gauge how we are doing. This is a critical time in our country when America is at a crossroads, and especially at the local level, we have to help bridge the divide. We need to advance our collective agenda of putting our residents' needs first so we can build a better future. The Township Committee members are your partners, and with your commitment, we can look forward to build a future that works for everyone and allows different opinions and points of view. A future where we can come together, have discussions, and create solutions to our problems. So in closing, I too want to, whether you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, or Hanukkah, try and find peace this year. Take a moment to count all your blessings and be grateful for all the things we so many times take for granted. Mr. Grayzel, would you like to share your exciting news?
Well, would you?
I'll make a motion to open public portion.
Yeah, I'll second opening up
Okay.
open up the meeting to the public.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There are currently 5 members of the public joining us via Zoom and 5 in person. At this time, we will open the meeting to public comment. Okay, we already did that. So now, Mr. Grayzel, would you like to share your exciting news?
He's on the spot now. You have to go up to the microphone.
I thought he was going to run for office.
That's right. I'm running for my dad's seat.
What do I say?
Your name?
My name, Alexander Grayzel, 1 Indian Head Road, Morris Township, obviously. This news doesn't have anything to do with New Jersey, but the University of Vermont Catamounts men's soccer team won their first ever national championship, which is exciting for me because I go to that school. That's the news he wants me to share.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it was pretty impressive that your dad drove all the way down to North Carolina so that you could see the game and experience a national championship. That's a once in a lifetime thing.
How many lectures did you get?
Yeah.
Are there any other members of,
For the record, that's why I'm hoarse tonight. I'm still recovering from Monday night.
was 18 hours of lecture.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 18 hours of lecture.
are there any other members here that would like to speak? And are there any members on Zoom? I don't see any hands raised. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak.
I'll make a motion to close the public portion, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The time is now, I'm sorry. Oh, the time is now 8:40. Can I have a motion to adjourn the regular session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next to convene on Thursday, January 2nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. is the reorganization meeting that will be held right here in the municipal building at 50 Woodland Avenue. The next regular Township Committee meeting is a week later, Wednesday, January 22nd, a week later than it normally is, January 22nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. for the regular meeting, 5 PM closed, and that also is right here in the municipal building. Again, have a very, very happy holidays and a very happy new year. Good night.